A young black student opens their history textbook to the slavery chapter. The same sanitized story unfolds. Noble Lincoln freed the slaves. Civil rights fixed everything. Everyone should be grateful for progress. Every word on those pages was carefully crafted to keep that student quiet, ashamed, and disconnected from their true legacy. Today, we're exposing 8 lies that have poisoned how America sees black people for centuries. Each lie serves the same purpose: to make you doubt your worth, accept your position, and never demand what's rightfully yours. These aren't random historical mistakes. They're strategic deceptions woven together to create a false reality where black people deserve less and white people deserve more. The first lie strikes at your very identity, making you ashamed of your own ancestors. Lie number 1. Africans sold their own people for profit. In classrooms across America, teachers casually mention that Africans sold their own people into slavery, so really, everyone's equally responsible. Portuguese chronicler Gomes Eanes de Zurara witnessed the truth in 1444. European soldiers stormed ashore in Mauritania, attacking, killing, and taking all they could. Mothers forsook their children, husbands their wives, each striving to escape. Those mothers hid their babies in seaweed, praying the attackers wouldn't find them. The Europeans encountered the bronze-casting Yoruba Empire, the Kingdom of Congo with its sophisticated political system, the gold-mining Ashanti Federation. These weren't black people. They were distinct nations as different as England from France, often bitter enemies who had never considered themselves the same race. Captain John Hawkins launched Britain's slave trade by capturing 300 people in Sierra Leone by the sword and partly by other means. When he returned to England, he wasn't celebrated as a traitor. He was praised as a successful raider. Europeans then introduced guns, creating an impossible choice. King Bandi of Angola watched Portuguese governor Luís Mendes de Vasconcelos destroy his capital and impose an annual tribute of 100 slaves. Collaborate or watch your enemies get European weapons and annihilate your people. Even collaboration meant eventual betrayal. The Ashanti Kingdom assisted Dutch slave traders for over a century, believing they had secured their survival. In 1874, those same Europeans turned British artillery against Kumasi, reducing the Ashanti capital to rubble and colonizing their lands. This lie works because it transforms victims into accomplices, making their descendants too ashamed to demand justice. The next lie builds on this foundation by framing freedom as a gift rather than something earned. Lie number 2. The Emancipation Proclamation freed all enslaved people. January 1st, 1863. Classrooms across America teach children about the great emancipator ending slavery with his pen. They imagine enslaved people dancing in plantation fields, finally free after centuries of bondage. Abraham Lincoln signed a document that day, but its actual words tell a different story. It freed enslaved people only in states in rebellion against the United States. Every enslaved person in Delaware, Kentucky, Maryland, and Missouri woke up January 2nd still in chains. The proclamation exempted entire parishes in Louisiana and counties in Virginia already under Union control. Lincoln revealed his true priorities 5 months earlier in a letter to editor Horace Greeley. "If I could save the Union without freeing any slave, I would do it." The great emancipator openly admitted he'd keep every black person enslaved if it served his political goals. Major General Gordon Granger didn't reach Galveston, Texas until June 19, 1865, 895 days after Lincoln's signature, to announce that slavery had supposedly ended. Enslaved people lived under bondage for 2.5 extra years because nobody bothered to inform them about their freedom. Speaking of freedom and the fight to preserve real history, if you believe these hidden truths need to be told, subscribe to Black Stories Untold and help us spread the documented evidence they don't want you to know. Now, Back to the video. Lie number 3. Slavery was only a Southern problem. Boston's financial district stands on ground that once hosted slave markets where human beings were bought and sold like cattle. Those gleaming buildings and monuments to Northern progress rest on a foundation of human bondage. The 1790 census recorded about 40,000 enslaved people in New York alone. Newport, Rhode Island, operated as a major slave trading hub where the DeWolf family imported over 10,000 Africans. Brown University's campus was built with profits from the Brown family's slave trading empire. The textile mills of Massachusetts, symbols of Northern industry and innovation, processed cotton picked by enslaved hands. The Boston Manufacturing Company processed 900 bales of slave-grown cotton annually by 1817. Rhode Island's mills consumed over 50,000 bales yearly by 1860. Lloyd's of London insured slave ships crossing the Atlantic, collecting premiums while human cargo died in holds. Aetna Insurance wrote policies on enslaved people, with rates based on age and occupation. When an enslaved person died, their owner collected a payout. New York's 1799 Emancipation law freed no one immediately. Children born to enslaved mothers gained freedom at age 25 for women, 28 for men. People born in 1800 remained enslaved until 1828 in the free North. The 1860 census still recorded 18 enslaved people in New Jersey. The Underground Railroad existed because enslaved people had to reach Canada to escape American slavery completely. The free North still enforced fugitive slave laws, hunting down freedom seekers for bounties. This lie allows Northern institutions to point south while hiding their own foundations built on human bondage. The next lie builds on this geographic deception by erasing Black contributions to America's founding entirely. Lie number 4. There were no Black soldiers until the Civil War. April 19, 1775, dawn over Lexington Green. British regulars marched to seize colonial weapons. Among Captain John Parker's militia stands Prince Estabrook, a Black man legally considered property, about to spill his blood for American independence. The shot heard round the world rings out. When the smoke clears, Estabrook lies wounded, his blood among the first shed for a nation that won't recognize his humanity for another 88 years. Weeks earlier in Boston, Crispus Attucks confronted British soldiers outside the custom house. Witnesses saw him leading angry colonists, his cordwood club raised against occupying forces. 2 musket balls tore through his chest, making him the Revolution's first casualty. Yet when John Adams defended those soldiers, he dismissed Attucks as part of a motley rabble of saucy boys, Negroes, and mulattoes. By war's end, 5,000 African Americans had served in the Continental Army. Salem Poor killed British Major John Pitcairn at Bunker Hill. Stacey Williams of Pennsylvania fought at Brandywine, Germantown, Monmouth, and Yorktown. 6 years of service ending with discharge papers signed by George Washington himself. The psychological torture was immense. You risk everything for American freedom, help birth a new nation, then return to being someone's property. Andrew Pebbles lost his thumb and took a bayonet to the belly at Eutaw Springs, survived, and kept fighting for a country that considered him livestock. Virginia passed a law in 1783 freeing enslaved soldiers whose owners had illegally enlisted them, then tried to re-enslave them after their service. Even fighting for America couldn't guarantee freedom. This erasure makes Black people seem like recent arrivals who should be grateful, when we actually built and defended this country from day one. The pattern continues with lies about economic progress. Lie number 5. The Civil Rights Act fixed the wealth gap. College classrooms today echo with professors declaring how civil rights solved America's racial problems. Students nod, convinced that any remaining inequality must be someone's fault for not working hard enough. Federal Reserve data reveals a different reality. In 1870, White families held 23 times more wealth than black families. Today, after the Civil Rights Act, affirmative action, and Barack Obama's presidency, white families still hold 6 times more wealth, $285,000 versus $44,900. The GI Bill promised educational and housing benefits to 7.8 million World War II veterans, but systematically excluded black servicemen through local administration. Southern universities refused black admissions while northern schools imposed strict quotas. The Federal Housing Administration redlined black neighborhoods from 1934 to 1968, denying mortgages that built white suburban wealth. This lie dismisses current inequality by pointing to 60-year-old legal victories, while wealth gaps expand through mechanisms designed during slavery. The economic deception pairs with historical erasure of black exploration. Lie number 6. Columbus discovered America and no black explorers existed. October 12, 1492. Every American child memorizes this date as when Europeans discovered the New World. The narrative feels complete. Brave white explorers bringing civilization to empty lands. Juan Garrido's boots hit Hispaniola's sand in 1503. Born in West Africa around 1480, he arrived as a free conquistador, not enslaved cargo. He joined Ponce de Leon's conquest of Puerto Rico, fought against indigenous resistance, and accompanied the fatal 1521 Florida expedition. When Hernán Cortés needed experienced men for conquering the Aztec Empire, Garrido volunteered. After Tenochtitlan's fall, Spanish authorities granted him property in Mexico City. Archaeological records document his successful wheat cultivation. An African man literally growing the crops that sustained European colonization. Estebanico crossed the North American continent on foot. Born in Morocco around 1500, he survived the disastrous Narvaez expedition's shipwreck and spent 8 years navigating from Florida to Mexico. His language skills and reputation as a healer kept Spanish explorers alive through impossible terrain. Viceroy Antonio de Mendoza commissioned Estebanico to guide the 1539 expedition, seeking the 7 cities of Cibola. His knowledge of southwestern geography opened present-day Arizona and New Mexico to European settlement. Without his navigation, Spanish colonization of the Southwest might never have happened. These weren't enslaved Africans brought against their will. They were skilled explorers whose expertise proved essential to European success. Their erasure maintains the myth that Europeans civilized the Americas without African contributions. The pattern of erasure extends beyond exploration to cultural theft on a massive scale. Lie number 7. Elvis invented rock and roll. August 13, 1952. Willie Mae Big Mama Thornton steps into Peacock Records' Houston studio. Her powerful voice transforms Johnny Otis's composition into Hound Dog, a raw declaration that electrifies black audiences nationwide. The song tops R&B charts for 7 weeks, selling over 500,000 copies. July 2, 1956. Elvis Presley records the same song at RCA Victor's New York studios. His version reaches number 1, selling 5 million copies and making him the king of rock and roll. Thornton receives 0 royalties because Peacock Records owner Don Robe controls publishing through his Lion Publishing Company. The systematic theft machine operates openly. Otis Blackwell writes, "Don't Be Cruel," All Shook Up, and Return to Sender for Elvis through Hill and Range songs. Despite creating Elvis's signature sound, Blackwell earns minimal royalties and dies with career earnings under $50,000. His songs generate millions for others. Little Richard records Tutti Frutti at J&M Studio in New Orleans, creating a sound that revolutionizes American music. Pat Boone's Sanitize cover for Dot Records receives broader radio play on white-oriented stations that ban Richard's original. Black creativity gets filtered through white performers deemed acceptable for mainstream consumption. Record industry executives openly admitted their strategy. Atlantic Records co-founder Jerry Wexler stated, "We had the good fortune of coming along after the blues and R&B had matured. We could take it uptown. The practice generates millions while original black creators receive minimal compensation." This cultural theft connects to the final lie that transforms systematic exclusion into supposed biological limitations. Lie number 8. Black people can't swim. At public pools across America, people casually state this biological fact. Black people just can't swim. It's genetics or bone density or something. Even some black people have internalized this lie, avoiding water and passing the limitation to their children. During slavery, masters deliberately kept enslaved people from learning to swim, knowing that rivers offered direct escape routes to freedom. It was calculated policy designed to limit mobility and maintain control. After emancipation, Jim Crow laws banned black people from pools and beaches across the South and many northern cities. When federal courts ordered integration in the 1950s and 60s, white communities chose closure over compliance. Cities across America shut down public pools rather than integrate them. The 1919 Chicago race riot erupted at 29th Street Beach when racial tensions over segregated swimming areas boiled over into citywide conflict. Even celebrities faced humiliation. When Josephine Baker performed at New York's Copacabana in 1951, management drained the pool after her swim. The Sahara Hotel banned Sammy Davis Jr. from guest facilities despite his headlining status. Current drowning statistics reflect this legacy. Black children are 3 times more likely to drown than white children. Generations of systematic exclusion created knowledge gaps that get misattributed to biology rather than policy. Each lie we've exposed serves the same master plan, creating a false reality where black people caused their own enslavement, received freedom as gifts, and possessed natural limitations explaining current inequalities. Your ancestors weren't victims waiting for salvation. Prince Estabrook bled for American independence. Juan Garrido cultivated crops that sustained Spanish colonies. And Big Mama Thornton created sounds that defined American culture. They were innovators and builders whose contributions were systematically erased. If this opened your eyes, subscribe to Black Stories Untold and share this video. Speaking of hidden black history, check out our video, The Black Kings That Saved Christianity, What Schools Never Told You, to discover how Nubian kings conquered Egypt to preserve its sacred traditions. The truth will set us free, but first we have to be brave enough to face it.